Welcome to TV20 News. I'm Dan Monroe. Coming up on today's news, we will take you to University Settlement as they give out hot meals every Tuesday to Ward 5 residents. Then we'll go to East 93rd and Reno Avenue for the unveiling of University Settlement's new billboard. And later on, we'll go under the big top with the Universoul Circus. And joining me now is Eugenia Cash, Commissioner for the Cleveland Commission on Black Women and Girls. Eugenia, thanks so much for sitting down with me today.
Well, thank you so much for inviting me, and I actually serve as the secretary on the commission, so thank you.
That's great. Well, I would like to know what actually is the commission, when were you founded, and what's your mission?
So, when the mayor actually took office, the Bloomberg report had come out like in 2020. And in that Bloomberg report, it really had the outcome for Black women and girls ranking last in the city of Cleveland. And one of the things that he actually wanted to do was to create a commission to address issues and concerns about Black women and girls, as far as education, as far as our economy, housing, all of the different entities that support our Black women and girls in Cleveland. And so what he did is he thought about the commission, and he felt that it would be really important to implement that in the city. And so what happened in 2024, we had our very first vision setting meeting for the Commission of Black Women and Girls. And Catherine Hall, who is our board chair, and our vice chair is Shamika Jones-Taylor. And so one of the things that we look at is looking at all the different disparities in the community, breaking things up into committees, and then trying to actually hear the voice of the community so that they can share with us their concerns and then try to address them. We also were very fortunate to have information from Project Noir, and they shared their information in their study that they did. And so we compounded that information and just trying to come up with a recourse of support to assist the women here in the city of Cleveland.
Eugenia, what is Project Noir?
So Project Noir is an organization that actually did a program for us. Mm-hmm. And not so much as a program, but they did a report. And in that report, they talked about disparities in the city with Black women and girls. They did a poll where they took information from all different entities, and they came up with those 7 breakdowns. The economy, housing, healthcare was huge. And so they actually did this report, and we are going to be working with them to try to come up with some resolutions to address some of the concerns that arose from that report. But in November, on the 21st from 4 to 6, we normally have a community listening session in the community, but because they just did the update of their report from 2020, they're going to be coming in and doing an overall presentation to not only the commission, but also to the community, so that we can make sure that the community is aware of the updates from 2020 on how it has an impact on Black women and girls, whether it's good or bad, some of the pros and the cons, and how we can move forward in addressing those issues and concerns in tangent with working with our committees.
And with the commission, you have a lot of support from Councilwoman Deborah Gray and Councilwoman Stephanie House-Jones. Talk about their support.
So I don't think that we would really have arrived at the place we are now without the support of Councilwoman Gray and Councilwoman Stephanie House. Councilwoman Stephanie House-Jones is actually a part of the commission, and Councilwoman Gray is there as I shared with you earlier. It's like we also have these bookends where they support us and keep us in alignment, and they encourage us. And it's very important that we have the support for council, and they have been extremely valuable in ensuring that we were headed the right course, working very closely with Catherine Hall and with Ms. Jones-Taylor, as well as myself, in trying to help us to navigate through this process, and so that we can, the vision that the mayor set, that we can be on task for that. But their support has been invaluable, and they are at every meeting making sure that we're okay.
Now, in September, you had a listening meeting,
Yes.
A meeting that was actually live streamed on TV20. It's on our YouTube page, where the commissioners did very little talking, but actually a lot of listening from the public. Mm-hmm. What did the commission take from that meeting?
So the meeting was set up, just as you said. It was a listening session. It was for us to go into the community and to actually listen to what the community had to say. I share and I make the statement all the time, it's one thing to be in the community, but it's a whole different entity to be of the community. And so we felt that if we went into the community and we listened to the concerns of the community. We talked about housing, we talked about education, we talked about health care, we talked about the glaring needs of the community. So it was not a meeting for us to give a lot of input. It was exactly what it was laid out to be. Mm-hmm. We were there to listen. One of the most important entities of listening is hearing what is being said. And so us being present and giving our undivided attention to the community and to actually not only listen but hear what they were saying to us so that we can take it back and we can review it and we can put it in compliance and how we want to address and deal with those different things. And that's what's important, so that they know that we heard them.
And one of the reasons you're here with me today, and you kind of alluded to this earlier, but talk again about, you have a big meeting that we're going to be live streaming on TV20 on November 21st. Mm-hmm. Talk again about that and what we can learn from that.
So basically for that meeting on November 21st, that would normally be held in the community, but because we wanted to ensure that the community was involved, mm-hmm. we wanted to make sure that it was live. We wanted to make sure that Channel 20 was there to support us. We have the full support of council. We're actually using a council committee room that you normally do your information, mm-hmm. so that we don't have any hiccups and everything is running very smooth, so that not only can the community see us live, but also they can participate in our meeting. And the meeting is basically focused on Noir giving a overview of their first report in 2020, and then they just released this new report in 2024. So we will be looking at where we were and where we are and how far we've come, but yet how far we have to go.
And what's 2025 looking like for the commission? What's on the agenda for that? So
basically, we are broken up into different subcommittees. And so what we are looking at is strengthening those committees and ensuring that people in the community are on those committees so that we can look at how we need to address the issues and concerns that are particular to, if it is economic development, looking at economic development. It is housing, making sure that we strategically plan and look at housing. If it's education, making sure we look at that. But encompassing a holistic approach to services and support that are needed, because the community told us that's what's needed, and that's what we heard them say, and not what we think that we would just like to do, but what is really important.
All right, Eugenia Cash, Commissioner for the Cleveland Commission on Black Women and Girls. And if you'd like more information, their website's at the bottom of our screen. Go ahead and log in. Eugenia, thank you so much for joining me today.
You are so wonderful. Thank you.
I appreciate
you too.
Residents in Cleveland's Ward 5 have a standing invitation every Tuesday evening for a free community meal thanks to University Settlement. The weekly gathering not only provides a hot meal, but also an opportunity for neighbors to come together and for local leaders to stay connected. TV20's Cornell Calhoun has more with this story.
Every Tuesday night, community members fill the University Settlement in Cleveland's Ward 5, where they're greeted with a hot meal and warm welcome. It's more than just a meal. It's a place for connection and conversation.
It gives you access to the council person. It gives you access to various resources that University Settlement offers. And again, it's some good conversation. You can come here, you can talk to people, you can talk to Rashawn from University Settlement, you get an idea of what resources they offer, you get an idea what community resources are offering, you can talk to community activists like myself, we can try to create some solutions for you, for your problems, and then you can have a nice meal.
Ward 5 Councilman Richard Starr is a familiar face at these dinners, making it a priority to engage with residents one-on-one, answering questions, hearing concerns, and keeping everyone informed on local issues.
At these meal distributions, it's an opportunity for me to connect with the residents, to find out what's been going on in City Hall, but also to find out what is going on in the community and find out what type of work or services that they need. So we come and do these meal distributions, talk to residents, have a little bit of fellowship, but also connect on what work that we need to do together.
From housing concerns to updates on local development, these dinners offer residents a chance to be heard in a comfortable and familiar setting.
It is a critical part of what we do, our community meals. And having the councilman come and support us in this means that more families, more individuals will be this evening. So many people come here on a regular basis, every Tuesday, and expecting a hot meal. And again, it feels like community connectedness. You'll see some individuals who like to sit with each each other, who check on one another. It poses a good opportunity for individuals to say, hey, how are you doing, neighbor? Is there anything that you need, or is there any way that I can help support you? So many people are checking for one another in our community meals.
For many residents, it's more than a meal. It's a reminder that they're not alone, that their voices matter, and that their community stands with them. I'm Cornell Calhoun III, reporting for TV20. We are Cleveland.
Thank you, Cal. With volunteers on hand and neighbors arriving each week, the Tuesday meal is a tradition that has turned University Settlement into a cherished gathering place, fostering community in every sense. On this month's episode of Food for Thought, brought to you by the Greater Cleveland Food Bank, we'll teach you how to make spicy cabbage and kale stir fry and a delicious dish of butternut squash macaroni and cheese. We will also learn about the nutritional benefits of milk, eggs, and kale. Join us for Food for Thought right here on TV20 or anytime you like on our TV20 Cleveland YouTube page. And if you like what you see, please hit that subscribe button. We'll be right back with more TV20 news after this.
Today's vote, in my eyes, is not a very difficult one.
Did you know that in the city of Cleveland, you can text 911 and the message goes directly to our communications center? Our dispatch staff will communicate with you via their keyboard, asking the same questions necessary to dispatch police, fire, or EMS emergency services. Keep this in mind if you are in the city and making an emergency phone call that might be a challenge.
This safety message is brought to you by the City of Cleveland Division of Police.
Welcome back to TV20 News. TV20's Alex McTurner was on the scene as the University Settlement unveiled their latest Billboard campaign at the corner of East 93rd and Reno Avenue.
For nearly a century, University Settlement has served and supported families throughout Cleveland's diverse neighborhoods, providing vital resources to help them live happy and successful lives. This year, the organization's latest Billboard campaign placed a focused emphasis on fatherhood, inviting local fathers to join in the unveiling as a way to foster a greater sense of community and commemorate the important work they do for their children.
So the Billboard is really a monumental moment for us. This is our second annual Billboard campaign, and we had our fathers come in and celebrate with honoring them as their leaders of their families or honoring them as their role in their child's life. We asked them to come in and take a family portrait, right? And for some families have never taken a family portrait, and other families feel comfortable taking a portrait, but it really commemorates what a relationship or the importance of the relationship that a father has with their children, whether they are the primary caregiver or whether they are co-parenting or whether they are just a part of the child's web of support in the family. We commemorate that by posting different images of different families that we not only support, but that Cuyahoga County continues to support.
For TV20, this is Alex Picterna.
For this week's health segment, we turn it over now to our health reporter, Richard Stewart, as he teaches us more about influenza.
Thanks, Dan. Today we're joined by Ed Gasemba. Ed is an epidemiologist at the Cleveland Department of Public Health. He's going to share with us how they go about compiling data that's vital to the health of all Clevelanders. Ed, thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Could you explain the process of collecting weekly respiratory disease data for the city of Cleveland, and what specific data points are gathered, and how is the information verified and useful?
Sure. So this information is gathered directly from healthcare facilities themselves, within the scope of their operations. So if a patient goes to the hospital, the emergency department in particular, the chief complaint, the date and time that they're there, all of that is captured and we're able to pull that data. And for influenza-related hospitalizations, influenza hospitalizations are a Class B reportable condition, so they have to notify the health department within 24 hours. So generally, you find out pretty quickly. We're able to compile that data and put it in a form that we're able to use to report to the public.
Have you noticed any recent trends when it comes to respiratory disease in the city of Cleveland?
I would say that the one trend I can say for sure is that from the beginning of October to the following May of the next year, that's peak upper respiratory infection activity. In between that time frame, it's really hard to speculate general trends, but just know that that's when we're going to see most of the activity.
Talk about the state of COVID-19 in the city of Cleveland. Are we in good shape, bad shape? Where do we stand?
I'd say that we're in good shape as long as we continue to be proactive. This is the time of year where we would expect to see upper respiratory infections in general. So doing what we can in order to prevent illness and prevent spread is what we would recommend. So staying up to date with hospitalizations for flu and COVID would be the best recommendations. We're continuing to see new COVID variants. It's not as severe as it was during the pandemic, but ultimately the goal is to continue to do what we can to have less cases.
How does the Cleveland Department of Public Health determine various thresholds for respiratory diseases such as the flu and COVID-19? Talk about disease activity levels and how that's deciphered for the public consumption.
Sure. So at least for flu, the thresholds are determined by the Center for Disease Control and Prevention. And the way that the Cleveland Department of Health looks at it is from two different perspectives. One of which is, does activity surpass these thresholds for instance, flu, emergency department visits that are for flu-like illness or for weekly hospitalizations. But we also like to look at that over time. So for instance, we know that flu activity tends to really peak around the holidays. So Thanksgiving, Christmas, that's when we tend to see the most cases for the flu and the most case severity. So we like to report whether or not it's high or low based on that metric, but also, is this a level that we would expect based on this time of the year?
Are there any specific communities or demographics that are more affected than others? And if so, what's the Department of Public Health doing to address those specific disparities?
Sure. I mean, so week to week, it varies in terms of what demographics, what parts of the city of Cleveland residents are being impacted by the flu. There's really two trends that I would say really stick over time. One of which being that our older residents are more prone to a flu, to a hospitalization due to the flu. And for RSV infections, those tend to disproportionately impact children. Outside of that, it really is impacting everyone.
How does the weekly reporting that you guys perform influence public health responses?
Sure. So, I mean, our job as a health department is to inform the public regarding the status of the health of the city collectively. And flu is just one of those examples. Whereas I mentioned, between that 7-month period, it's really a toss-up in terms of what things could look like in terms of upper respiratory infection. We know that each flu season is not the same. There's some years where we're hit particularly hard early. There are some years where it seems to be a fairly moderate level and then skyrockets. So we'd like to let residents know how bad is it from week to week so they can make informed health decisions.
You mentioned allowing residents to know. How do you go about doing that? How do you make the data accessible to the public?
Sure. So we publish a weekly flu report or influenza watch every week, every Friday afternoon. And previous reports are also available to the city. So they'd be able to go on our webpage and see how flu activity has looked like so far this season, as well as in previous years.
Ed, thank you for joining us and sharing this valuable information with the public.
Yep, thanks for having me.
He's Ed Gathemba, epidemiologist at the Cleveland Department of Public Health. I'm health reporter Richard Stewart. Back to you, Dan.
Join TV20's Cornell Calhoun III as he talks with Clevelanders about topics and issues that are important to you on his show Conversations with Cal. You can watch Conversations with Cal right here on TV20 or on our TV20 Cleveland YouTube page. We'll be back with more TV20 news right after these messages.
The Cleveland Division of Police is announcing a new feature in reporting non-emergency crimes. When you call the non-emergency number 216-621-1234, a dispatcher will then send you a link via text to your cell phone. Other options are to call 833-461-0144 or use the QR code and report your non-emergency crime. We encourage everyone to add both the Cleveland Division of Police non-emergency phone number and the direct number in their cell phones.
This safety message is brought to you by the City of Cleveland Division of Police.
And welcome back to TV20 News. I'm Dan Monroe. The Big Top is back in town as the Universoul Circus is making its highly anticipated return to Cleveland. But before the full spectacle unfolds, the circus first brought its colorful cast of performers to delight the children of Cleveland with a special sneak peek preview. TV20's Alex Paterna has the story.
Hosted within the gymnasium of the Glenville Recreation Center, attendees watched in amusement and amazement as acrobats somersaulted through the air, contortionists twisted their bodies into gravity-defying shapes, and a troupe of vibrant dancers whirled and twirled to the rhythm of the pulsing music, all free for the kids of Cleveland.
We want to release some of that stress. We know a lot is going on for the parents as well as the kids. We want to do something for y'all special, something free y'all can come and enjoy. So we brought Universoul down here, man, so y'all can enjoy it at Glenville.
Watching the kids actually get a chance to see this, it's amazing.
Oh, the circus was fun and cool. And it was a lot of people dancing, and I enjoyed it. And people was doing some nice tricks, and I enjoyed that too. And I was happy about it, and excitement.
It was fun for real. Like, you never too old to have fun, because I'm like 15, it was still fun for me.
Members of the circus expressed great enthusiasm for the opportunity to perform for the Cleveland youth, emphasizing that when they come together under the Big Top, they are all part of one big circus family.
We absolutely love giving back. The family is not just surrounded by the circus. The audience are also part of the family too. And just being able to vibe with you guys, sing with you guys, and just have fun and be able to connect and communicate with you guys is special. And personally, this is my passion. It just lightens me up. As you can see, I'm so happy and energetic just to be here today for you guys.
I love to dance, so this is something I love to do. It don't feel like a job that I'm doing, and on top of that, I'm putting smiles on a lot of people's faces.
For TV20, this is Alex Paterna.
The Universoul Circus will be performing in Cleveland November 28th through December 8th, and you can get your tickets at universoulcircus.com. That's UNIVERSOUL circus.com. We are constantly uploading new content on our TV20 Cleveland YouTube page, so make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on anything. You can also connect with TV20 Cleveland on your favorite social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, and X. Thanks for watching TV20 News. I'm Dan Monroe. Be sure to stay tuned for more on TV20. We are Cleveland.